Okay, so with the geometric one, remember with geometric, you also start with a, the first term, and then the second term is a times r. So you multiply by the ratio. Third term is a times r to the power 2. Okay, so now we don't add the difference, we multiply by the ratio when it's geometric. Okay, so that's fine. So now, what we did with the arithmetic one is we just swapped it around. We wrote it again, but we swapped it around. This one is completely different. This one, we don't swap them around. We actually say, what will happen if I just multiply Sn with r, the ratio? Okay, so I take the normal sequence or series up to a r to the power n minus 1, which is the last one. And then I say, okay, now let's take this thing again, but now let's multiply both sides by r. So when I multiply this side by r, I get this. When I multiply this with r, obviously the first one will now be a times r. But then I say, okay, so now my first term is a plus a times r. But I'm not going to write it there, I'm going to write it here. I want to make it nice and neat. So I say the first one now is ar, but let's write it there. The second one would be a times r squared. So I'm going to write it here. Okay, and you carry on. You say the second, now the third last one is ar to the power n minus 2. The second last one is ar to the power n minus 1. And now the last one is ar to the power n. So you see what happened is, because I say I multiply this by r and I multiply this whole thing by r, all these ones just moves one on. Because every one of them has another r now. This one is now ar. This one is ar squared. This one is ar to the power 3. This one is ar to the power n minus 1. This one is ar to the power n. All of them just has one more r next to it. Because you remember, if I multiply by r, it means I have to put it in brackets, multiplied by r, which means I multiply the r in to each one inside.
Okay.
You understand? Okay, so each one of them gets multiplied by r. Because I can't say I multiply this side by r and then I just multiply this one by r. If I multiply this side by r, it means I must multiply, you can like put brackets around and say, so I'm going to multiply this whole thing also by r. Which means I must multiply each one separately with r when I multiply it into the bracket. Each one gets multiplied by r. Okay, so that means all these ones will just move one on and look like this. The first one now be ar, the second one would be ar squared. And I could have written this here like this, they just have an r next to it, but I just shifted it one on to say now it looks neat, because now if I say I'm going to take this equation and subtract, not add again. Remember with the arithmetic one we added the two, now we subtract it. Now we say take the first equation minus the second equation. So I'm going to have Sn minus Rsn. Okay, I'm going to subtract them now. This equation minus this one. So here we've got a minus nothing there. So a minus 0 is still a. Okay. Here, when I subtract, it's 0. Because they look the same. Here, when I subtract, it's 0. Here, subtract, it's 0. Here, subtract, it's 0. But now, what about the last one? Now there's nothing at the top. So it's nothing here. You can say 0 minus ar to the power n. So that's the last one. Minus ar to the power n. Okay? Right, so let's just go through that step again. Okay, we wrote down the sequence, we multiplied it by r to get this sequence, and then we took this one and we said take this equation minus this equation, subtract the two. So then this one minus this one is there. This whole one minus this one is there, because it's a minus nothing, which is a. ar minus ar is 0, they cancel out. Ar squared minus ar squared is 0. Ar to the power minus 2 minus this one is 0. This one gives you 0. And then this one minus ar to the power n. It's just minus ar to the power n. Because I've got nothing here, but then I'm subtracting this one. So it's nothing, 0 at the top, minus ar to the power power n. So I just write minus AR to the power n. That's all that's left. Okay. So that's the important thing. Okay, to understand that. And then you can say, let's factorize now. Let's take out Sn, and I've got 1 minus R. And then here I can take out the A, and then I've got 1 minus R to the power n. So both sides, I just took out the common factor, and now I can divide by 1 minus R, divide this side by 1 minus R. So Sn is A, 1 minus R to the power n, over 1 minus R. And the better way to write it, the way we normally write it, is by just putting these ones at the start. So we say A, R to the power n minus 1 over R minus 1. Okay, but it doesn't matter that much. You can write it like this or this, but normally we write it like this. Okay, you can swap them around because you did it both sides. So the negatives, when you swap it around, you can say the negatives cancel out as well. Okay, so there's the proof. Sn is A, bracket R to the power n minus 1 over R minus 1.